Welcome to the quick walkthrough of the Getting Started tutorials for Gravity Engine 2. The goal here is just to show you the what, and then you can decide what it is you're most interested in and use the various GE2 documentation links, including this open documentation button, to delve in a little more detail. In some cases, there are additional tutorials that describe the scenes in more detail. But let's just do a quick what's in here. So we'll start with the zero hello orbit, which, as you might expect, shows you a body in an orbit. So it shows you how to set it up so that there's a planet, a body, display objects such that they get seen, and also so that the orbit path gets shown. A little more involved is the ship in orbit scene, which describes how to make changes to the velocity of a body and see that in the scene. And there is a video that describes this in more detail, but the basic idea is we can press P to pause. We get a new orbit that's a result of adding 5% to the current velocity of the ship. We can use the A and D keys to change the direction of the thrust and the W and S to add thrust. So if I add some thrust in the direction we're traveling, the orbit gets bigger. And if I press G, we end up moving on that new orbit. So this is a useful example if you want to look at some scripts that show you how to get the ship state, change the ship state, and then go on with the scene. More elaborate, if you don't want to transfer manually from one orbit to another, you just want to get from here to there, is to use this transfer ship script, GS transfer ship, which is a wrapper on transfer ship. And the type of transfer, the target of the transfer is picked by target mode. The type is determined by the script. If both orbits are circular, it'll do a Hohmann transfer, and if they're not, then it will do a Lambert transfer. In the case of a Lambert transfer, the destination needs to be a point, not an orbit. So you have to actually pick a point on the orbit you want to get to. So let's just go ahead. These orbits happen to be both circular initially. So we'll just go ahead and play that. We'll tilt it so you can see one is tilted. If we press T, we'll get a transfer. So once it gets down to the orbital plane, it makes a change. And then if we press 3 to speed up, when it comes back up to the ascending node that intersects the target orbit, it makes another maneuver and ends up in the plane and the orbit that we wanted. If we want to go directly, we could say, let's target getting to the ship exactly, and let's, instead of allowing Hohmann as a choice, pick Lambert always. And now if we go ahead and press T, it will figure out how to go exactly there. And not only will it go exactly there, it will arrive there in a rendezvous, and they will both end up on the same orbit. And there we go. So that's transfer ship. The point of the Kepler planet and moons is to show you a scene in which we have some hierarchy. So we have a planet here going around a star, we have a moon going around the planet, and we also make these all on rails so that the moon will always go around the planet. It won't get affected by the sun. And if you're building small planetary systems and you don't want all of the chaos that comes with 3 bodies, this is the kind of thing you would do. The way that happens is by, when you choose the planet here, you have Kepler mode. And in fact, if you take the moon and take it out of Kepler mode and say, hello, let gravity act on that, and press play, you can see pretty quickly the moon starts getting messed up because of the 3 bodies of gravity, and it goes off into a hyperbola and gets flung away. So if what you really wanted was a nice little clockwork scene, then you want to keep everything in Kepler mode like this. The final scene in this Getting Started folder is a particle demo. And the idea here is we can add unity particles. So we do have a full-up unity particle system, but it's coupled with a GS particles object and in this case, an initializer that says let's put the particles in a ring around the planet with a particular orbit, or alternately we can have a ball of particles. And then when we go ahead and play, You can see this is particles dispersed in a ring with there was some randomness in the radius, and then here's a ball of particles. And as we press speed up, oops, so I guess the speed up's not turned on here. So if we want to turn on the speed up, we go to the GS controller, and we click debug keys here, which allows us to time zoom. So now we can go back and hit 3 or 4, and everything just moves a little faster. And you can see these particles, as they interact with the planet, get flung away, and the ball of particles gets spread out. And that's our quick tour of getting started.